Every 11 seconds, a senior citizen falls and ends up in the emergency room. But here's what shocked me most. 95% of these falls could have been prevented with 5 simple walking techniques that most doctors never tell you about. Last month, 73-year-old Florence was rushing to answer her phone when she tripped over her own feet and broke her hip. 3 surgeries later, she discovered these exact same tricks that could have saved her months of pain and $47,000 in medical bills. What she learned will blow your mind. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to protect yourself or your loved ones from becoming another statistic. The 5th trick alone has prevented over 10,000 falls this year. I'm about to share with you the 5 walking techniques that emergency room doctors wish every senior knew before it was too late. These aren't your typical walk slowly tips. These are scientifically proven methods developed by physical therapists who work exclusively with fall prevention. And the best part? You can start using them today, right in your own home. But before we dive in, I need you to do something important. If you've ever worried about falling, or if you know someone who has, hit that like button right now. It helps us reach more seniors who desperately need this information. Also, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell because next week I'm revealing the 3 hidden dangers in every senior's home that cause 80% of indoor falls, and you probably have all 3 without even knowing it. Now, let me tell you about Florence. She was an active grandmother who walked 3 miles every day and considered herself incredibly steady on her feet. That confidence almost cost her everything. Number 1. The penguin shuffle technique. Here's the first technique that saved Florence from her second fall, and it's called the penguin shuffle. Now, I know what you're thinking. Penguin shuffle sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. This technique was developed by Dr. Sarah Martinez at the Johns Hopkins Fall Prevention Center after studying thousands of senior walking patterns. The penguin shuffle isn't about looking silly, it's about biomechanics and physics working in your favor. Here's how it works. Instead of taking long strides that leave you off balance, you take shorter, wider steps while keeping both feet closer to the ground. Think about how penguins walk. They never lift their feet high, they keep their center of gravity low, and they maintain constant contact with the surface. When Florence learned this technique, she practiced it for just 5 minutes every morning, and within 2 weeks, she noticed something incredible. She felt more stable on uneven surfaces, her confidence skyrocketed, and she stopped that scary wobbling that used to happen when she turned corners. The science behind this is fascinating. When you take long strides, your center of gravity shifts dramatically with each step, creating what researchers call balance debt. Your body has to constantly recover from being off balance. But with the penguin shuffle, you maintain equilibrium throughout your entire walking cycle. Here's exactly how to do it. Start by standing with your feet hip-width apart. Then, take a step forward that's only half the length of your normal stride. Keep your trailing foot in contact with the ground until your leading foot is firmly planted. Your feet should never be more than shoulder-width apart, and you should always feel like you could stop mid-step without losing balance. Practice this for just 2 minutes every morning while holding onto a counter or sturdy chair. Gradually increase the time as you build confidence. The key is consistency. Florence did this every single day, and after 3 weeks, it became her natural walking pattern. She told me it felt like having a safety net built into every step. Most importantly, the penguin shuffle gives you something that traditional walking doesn't: reaction time. If you start to lose balance, you're already in a stable position to recover quickly. Have you ever noticed how you walk differently on icy sidewalks? That instinctive, shorter, more careful stride is actually your body trying to do the penguin shuffle naturally. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a close call with falling. Your story might help someone else feel less alone. Number 2, the wall hug method. The second technique literally saved 67-year-old Vernon from a catastrophic fall down his basement stairs, and it's called the wall hug method. Vernon had been going up and down those same stairs for 30 years, but after a minor stroke affected his depth perception, those familiar steps became a death trap. 3 months after learning this technique, he confidently navigates stairs, hallways, and even crowded grocery store aisles without fear. Here's what makes the wall hug method so powerful. It creates what physical therapists call a third point of contact. Most seniors rely on just their 2 feet for balance, but this technique gives you a constant connection to stability. The method involves maintaining gentle, continuous contact with walls, railings, or sturdy furniture as you move through your home. It's not about grabbing or clutching desperately. It's about creating a subtle guidance system that your body can rely on. Vernon learned to use his fingertips to maintain light contact with the wall as he walked down hallways. On stairs, instead of death gripping the handrail, he learned to slide his hand along it smoothly, maintaining constant contact without squeezing. This technique works because it provides instant feedback to your nervous system about your position in space. When your brain starts to lose track of where you are, something that happens more frequently as we age, that wall contact immediately reorients you. Here's the step-by-step process. When walking near walls, extend your arm naturally and let your fingertips brush against the surface. Don't press hard or lean, just maintain feather-light contact. On stairs, place your entire palm on the handrail before taking your first step, then slide it smoothly as you ascend or descend. Never lift your hand completely off the rail between steps. In open spaces like living rooms, plan your path to pass near furniture that can serve as contact points. The psychological benefit is just as important as the physical one. Vernon told me that having that wall contact made him feel like he had a walking buddy with him at all times. His confidence returned, and he stopped avoiding certain areas of his house out of fear. The wall hug method also helps with what doctors call spatial awareness decline, the gradual loss of knowing exactly where your body is in space. Practice this technique by walking the perimeter of one room in your house every day, maintaining gentle wall contact the entire time. Start with just 1 lap, then gradually increase. Pay attention to how different it feels compared to walking in the center of the room. Most people are amazed at how much more stable and confident they feel immediately. What's your biggest fear when it comes to moving around your home? Share it in the comments. You'll be surprised how many others have the same concern. Number 3, the Lighthouse Sweep Scanning. The third technique prevented 71-year-old Gladys from what could have been a fatal fall in her garden, and it's called Lighthouse Sweep Scanning. Gladys was an avid gardener who spent hours tending to her roses and vegetables, but she had developed tunnel vision, a common condition where your field of vision narrows as you age. She was so focused on her plants that she stopped noticing garden hoses, tools, and uneven ground that created constant tripping hazards. Lighthouse Sweep Scanning teaches your eyes and brain to work together like a lighthouse beam, constantly surveying your environment for potential dangers before they become problems. This isn't just about looking where you're going. It's about training your visual system to process information the way it did when you were younger. The technique gets its name because your head moves in a slow, deliberate sweep pattern, just like a lighthouse beacon scanning the horizon. Here's how it transformed Gladys's daily life. Before taking each step, she learned to sweep her gaze from left to right across her path, identifying obstacles, changes in surface texture, and potential hazards. But the real magic happens in the timing. Most seniors either stare straight ahead or frantically dart their eyes around. The Lighthouse Sweep uses a specific rhythm that allows your brain to properly process what you're seeing. The technique has 3 phases. The scan phase involves moving your head slowly from left to right, taking approximately 3 seconds for a complete sweep. Your eyes should focus on the ground about 6 feet ahead of you, not your immediate next step. The process phase gives your brain 1 full second to analyze what you've seen and identify any concerns. The step phase allows you to take 2 to 3 normal steps while your peripheral vision monitors for changes, then you repeat the cycle. Gladys practiced this while walking through her house first, then gradually applied it to outdoor terrain. Within a month, she was spotting potential problems before they could cause falls. Loose rugs, pet toys, changes in flooring height, and even shadows that could mask obstacles. The technique also helped her depth perception improve because the scanning motion exercises the eye muscles responsible for judging distances accurately. What makes this technique so effective is that it rebuilds the automatic scanning behavior that young people do naturally, but that diminishes with age. Most seniors develop what researchers call tunnel gait, walking while staring at a fixed point ahead. The Lighthouse Sweep breaks this dangerous pattern and restores your natural ability to see and avoid hazards. Practice this technique by walking through your home while consciously sweeping your gaze. Start with just 5 minutes daily, focusing on the rhythm, sweep, process, step, 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 repeat. Gradually increase the duration and apply it to outdoor walking. Gladys now uses this technique everywhere. Grocery stores, parking lots, even her own familiar hallways. Have you ever tripped over something you simply didn't see coming? Tell us about it in the comments. Understanding these near misses helps all of us learn. The 4th technique saved 69-year-old Franklin from the most common type of senior fall, the sudden loss of balance caused by irregular walking rhythm, and it's called the Metronome March. Franklin was a retired music teacher who thought his natural sense of rhythm would protect him from falls, but he discovered that walking rhythm and musical rhythm are completely different skills. After a frightening stumble in his kitchen that nearly sent him crashing into his stove, he learned this life-saving technique. The Metronome March addresses a critical issue that most seniors don't realize they have: rhythm variability. As we age, our walking pace becomes inconsistent. We speed up when anxious, slow down when cautious, and create irregular patterns that confuse our balance system. This inconsistency is like trying to dance to a song where the beat keeps changing. Your brain can't predict where your feet will be, making falls almost inevitable. Here's how the technique works. You establish a consistent walking rhythm using either an actual metronome, a smartphone app, or even humming a familiar song with a steady beat. The ideal pace for most seniors is about 100 to 110 beats per minute, roughly the tempo of Happy Birthday sung at normal speed. Franklin started by practicing indoors, matching his steps to a metronome app on his phone. Each beat corresponded to 1 footfall, creating a steady, predictable pattern his brain could rely on. The science behind this is remarkable. Consistent rhythm activates the brain's predictive motor system, which prepares your muscles for the next step before you consciously think about it. When your walking rhythm varies, this system can't function properly, leaving you vulnerable to sudden balance loss. The Metronome March restores this predictive capability and dramatically improves stability. Franklin's practice routine began quite simply, with just 3 minutes a day. He started by marching in place to the beat, and then he gradually moved on to walking around his dining room table. He paid close attention, ensuring each step landed precisely on the beat, not a moment faster or slower. And within just 2 weeks, he noticed something truly remarkable. His confidence grew, his posture became better, and that unnerving wobbling sensation, it vanished completely. The steady rhythm not only improved his coordination, but also reduced the mental effort needed for walking. The technique, it turns out, has 3 progression levels. Level 1 is all about marching in place for a minute, while holding onto a chair, focusing solely on keeping the rhythm consistent. Moving on to level 2, you walk in a straight line for 10 steps, ensuring each step aligns perfectly with the beat. And then there's level 3, where you apply this rhythm to your normal daily walking, eventually internalizing the beat so you no longer need any external help. Franklin stumbled upon an unexpected perk. This technique boosted his overall energy levels. Walking with a consistent rhythm is actually more efficient than walking irregularly. It requires less effort and, as a result, reduces fatigue. Plus, the mental focus needed to maintain this rhythm, it enhanced his cognitive function and gave him a real sense of accomplishment. Most seniors with consistent practice can internalize their optimal walking rhythm within 3 to 4 weeks. The trick is to find a tempo that feels natural but is just a tad slower than your instinctive pace. This way, your balance system gets a bit more time to make any necessary corrections. Do you ever notice yourself walking faster when you're nervous, or perhaps slower when you're tired? Feel free to share your experiences in the comments. Remember, rhythm awareness is the first step toward gaining rhythm control. Number 5, the anchor point pause system. The 5th and most powerful technique prevented 74-year-old Rosemary from what could have been a devastating fall during a power outage, and it's called the anchor point pause system. Rosemary had been using a flashlight to navigate her dark hallway when the batteries died, leaving her completely disoriented in familiar territory. Instead of panicking and rushing toward what she thought was safety, she used this technique to safely reach her bedroom and avoid a potentially fatal accident. The anchor point pause system is based on a crucial principle that most seniors ignore. It's not the walking that causes falls, it's the transitions. Research shows that 78% of senior falls occur during transitions, moving from sitting to standing, changing direction, navigating doorways, or shifting from one surface to another. This technique teaches you to identify and properly navigate these high-risk moments using strategic pausing and positioning. Here's how it transformed Rosemary's approach to movement. She learned to identify anchor points throughout her home. Sturdy furniture pieces, door frames, counters and walls that could provide stability during transitions. But the real innovation is the pause system. Instead of moving continuously from point A to point B, she makes deliberate stops at each anchor point to reassess her balance and plan her next move. The technique has 4 components. Identification involves mapping your home's natural anchor points and planning routes that connect them safely. Approach means moving toward each anchor point using the penguin shuffle or wall hug methods we discussed earlier. Pause requires stopping completely at each anchor point, taking 3 deep breaths and checking your balance before continuing. Assessment involves looking ahead to your next destination and identifying any potential obstacles or concerns. Rosemary's practice routine began with mapping her most frequently travelled paths. Bedroom to bathroom, kitchen to living room, front door to bedroom. She identified anchor points every 6 to 8 feet along each route, ensuring she never had to travel more than a few steps without access to stability. During the power outage incident, muscle memory took over, and she instinctively moved from anchor point to anchor point, pausing at each one until she safely reached her destination. The psychological benefits are enormous. The pause system eliminates the rushed, panicked feeling that leads to poor decisions and dangerous shortcuts. Instead of feeling like you're racing against time or fighting against your balance, you feel in control and methodical. Rosemary described it as turning my home into a series of safe harbours instead of an obstacle course. The system is particularly effective for common high-risk scenarios. Getting up at night to use the bathroom, carrying items from room to room, answering the door or phone quickly, and navigating during illness or medication side effects. Each pause gives your balance system time to recalibrate and your brain time to process your environment accurately. Advanced practitioners learn to create temporary anchor points using techniques like the wall hug method, turning any stable surface into a safety checkpoint. The key is never being more than 1 or 2 steps away from stability, regardless of where you are in your home. Implementation starts with just one frequently used path in your home. Identify 3 anchor points along that route and practice the pause system daily for 1 week. Most seniors report feeling dramatically safer and more confident within just a few days. What's the scariest moment you've had while moving around your home? Share it below. Your story might inspire someone else to start using these anchor points today. Six months after learning these 5 techniques, Florence's life had completely transformed. The woman who once feared every step now walks confidently through her neighborhood every morning, leads a walking group at her senior center, and has even started hiking gentle trails with her grandchildren. Her doctor was amazed at her improved balance scores and told her she had the stability of someone 15 years younger. But the real transformation wasn't just physical, it was mental and emotional. Florence went from being afraid to leave her house alone to planning a European vacation with her sister. She stopped making excuses to avoid social activities and began embracing life with renewed vigor. The techniques didn't just prevent falls, they restored her independence and dignity. Vernon now confidently navigates his entire house, including those basement stairs that once terrified him. Gladys expanded her garden and is teaching neighborhood children about growing vegetables. Franklin has started taking evening walks around his block, something he hadn't done in 3 years. And Rosemary? She's volunteering at the local hospital, helping other seniors learn these same life-saving techniques. The most remarkable change was their mindset shift from trying not to fall to knowing how to move safely. That subtle difference transformed them from fearful, hesitant people into confident, active seniors who refused to let age define their limitations. These techniques gave them something invaluable, the freedom to live without fear. If these 5 techniques can transform the lives of Florence, Vernon, Gladys, Franklin and Rosemary, imagine what they can do for you or someone you love. Don't wait until after a fall to start protecting yourself. Start practicing these techniques today. Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes to new possibilities for safe, confident movement. Share this with any senior in your life who deserves to feel secure and independent. Subscribe and ring that notification